I like how it cuts right off. Anyways, welcome everyone back to the SDK Network. I can't even talk. I got slippery mouth. Anyways, welcome to everyone. Season 3, we're live streaming and we're on our podcast channel right now across the globe. We are going to kill you today in the amount of content that we're going to talk about when it comes to marketing, which is one of my favorite subjects. And it's going to be amazing. This is a brand new show. Never done before. This is our first episode with Brandon. Brandon, do I get to call you like a legend in marketing?
I think I need to earn that probably, Jay. So why don't we just wait? Why don't we hold off on that? Maybe after this episode.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
So we called it. So Brandon has come up with this amazing name for what we're going to call this show. It's the FistBump, the brand FistBump show. And Brad, what in the heck does that mean? First of all,
give you one of those first, man. Yeah. Do you know? I would think a lot about marketing, particularly in food service restaurant. That's my background. That's my passion. I love that I'm on here with, couldn't be an even more passionate brand enthusiast as you, which makes it even more fun. But, there's just a lot. There's a lot for marketers and restaurant brand leaders and a lot that they've been through. I know a lot of them. I've been on that side of the table. And the pandemic has just been hard. And after the pandemic, post-pandemic has proven to be just as hard. And I wanted, instead of something that, we're lecturing about restaurant marketing, you'll find lots of great podcasts on that. I just want to take the time to recognize and give some props to people in the industry.
Yeah, you know what? I actually love that. I hope that does. I turn their music on. We got to have a little bit of music in the background.
I didn't know if I needed to hurry there. I thought you were playing me off or something.
No. I love this subject because I think, too, what you're saying there is and I got to actually call out some people here. You got to stop telling people what to do all the time when it comes to these things on LinkedIn and YouTube and stuff like that. Because you're telling them, and I hope you have done your research on some of these things, because I see it all the time on LinkedIn, and here's what you do with your menu, and here's what you do with your inventory. You got to be careful there, folks. Okay, just do your homework, make sure you're saying what you're saying, and you truly know what you're talking about. Because we are not by any means an expert. I have 32 years in the industry, and I still don't call myself an expert. But I do want to say that this is a subject that I love celebrating and talking about what people are doing within this space in our industry, because the creativity of what people come up with and the ideas blows me away every time.
And it should be shared. It doesn't get shared enough, and it doesn't. People don't get called out enough.
Celebrated and shared. And you're absolutely right. People do not. They'll look at other things in the marketplace, or if it's a product, or when someone does a commercial on TV or on YouTube, you may celebrate, or you may look at it and go, "That's really cool." But the stuff that's happening out in our industry is incredible. It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, and the one place you're probably not getting celebrated, which is tough too, is in the boardroom with the rest of the leadership team. Sometimes you are stuck in that journey of you just, you have to get some stuff done, and, you don't get celebrated for doing great things. You just get, it's part of the routine. It's what you need to do. And you don't get, and oftentimes when things go bad, you get the brunt of it as the marketing person or the brand person. And I know that we get that here at the Brand FistBump show. And so we're going to turn the tables, buddy.
I love that. So where do you want to start, Brandon, of today's conversation around this? Where are we going to go?
Well, we're going to get right to it, because
we're going to jump right
in. I think we should jump right in and introduce the first Brand FistBump anyway, and sneak that one in before the commercial, maybe. Do you want me to do that? And we can reveal, and then we'll get into it.
Go for it.
The first big Brand FistBump of the year is going to recognize that patio season is not over. And one of the legitimately most fantastic patio brands and restaurant brands we have, and that's Jack Asters. We'll be talking about Jack Asters today and recognizing some really great marketing. We're going to break it down, maybe decode what we think might have gone into it, some lessons we can learn from it, and then maybe give some tips and pointers from that may help with that kind of thinking, knowing that we had no part in coming up with this great idea.
Well, not only this, Jack Astor's been around for quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
I remember going to them many years ago, and they have an iconic brand. They do some amazing stuff out there. But tell me some more about this marketing idea that they did.
Yeah, this was it was called, you can put it up on the screen maybe now, and just to show the example, I believe it was called Work from Patio. And the team did this with the Garden Creative Agency. I loved it for a lot of reasons. It looks really cool, but it was really brought from the insight, and all great marketing ideas come from a customer insight. And I think what jumps out here is that Jack Asters wanted people to recognize that it was okay to come out again. Work from home became work from patio, and this tongue-in-cheek, very creative way that they brought to life, creating this office pod on the patio, was such a cool idea. Yeah. But the insight that drove it is what I love, because the insight comes from something that we can all associate with. It doesn't necessarily come from a huge amount of raw data. It may come from the gut of a really fantastic marketing team. But this idea of people now can come back to the patio, and people can relate to this as a patio as being a destination for a lot of things, for sneaking out of work, for pretending you're at work, for when you're out of work, for when you're about to be out of work.
You know what I'd love to do, Brandon, is because I got a lot of questions on this, because first of all, brilliant idea. Mm-hmm. Absolutely brilliant. But I want to talk about this, and we'll run a quick commercial here.
Yeah.
But we're going to come back, and I want to talk more about this, because I want to break down what the difference of this is, opposed to possibly looking at what we see in the marketplace in some locations where they're doing a lot of, I call it like stag ads, or just standard ads, or marketing ads that are not necessarily an activation of an ad or a campaign of a strategy like this. What the difference is, and how do you get to, okay, one restaurant created a marketing ad out there to help them sell more burgers, let's say, or drive more traffic. And what's the difference? How do they go from doing just a post on social to actually creating a campaign or initiative like this? Because this takes work, a lot more work, let's say, because you have to physically get the booth, you have to figure out where it's going to work, you have to look at these things, all these different things. I want to get into that right after this quick break with Brandon on the fist. Do we fist bump every time?
I don't know if we do it every time, but I'm sure maybe you can throw one up for me on the way out there, Jay.
All yours, man. This is yours this time. Anyways, we'll be right back after this quick message. Welcome back, everyone.
Just finishing writing down that recipe. I'll be done with you in a second.
Will you take that down? I love the music.
Mm-hmm.
I love the cafe jazz music afternoon. Anyways, we're back live here, folks, with Brandon on the Fist Bump. I gotta talk about. So we're into this whole thing that Jack Asters did here in a minute. We'll bring it back up on the screen here, but we're gonna talk a little bit more about this amazing marketing strategy or plan that they executed here that is just so cool. And I
Mm-hmm.
want to talk to Brandon being the marketing guru for our industry. I'm going to call you that now.
Wow.
You
Wow.
like that? Yeah, you like that title? So,
No.
anyways, I want to talk to you about this because how do you go from this to that? And is
Mm-hmm.
this is today's marketing? So this falls into content marketing, would you say, in a sense?
Well, I can tell you, content is certainly part of it, and everything's a little bit of content. I think what, and again, I want to, steer away from stepping on everyone's toes here that did the hard work with this. I think that they obviously may be thinking something completely different. What jumps out at me that what really stands out, and why, like you asked before the break, this is a little bit different from everything else you see. Why it steps away from tradition and convention a little bit. And to me, it's about relevance. Relevance is the word here, and relevance is a really, really super valuable, like an engagement trigger that only the best marketers really, really understand, and they
Okay.
get it. And to me, relevance is about an insight leading to an emotion, leading to an action, and those three elements regularly implemented can turn an idea into something really, really exceptional. And that's what happened here. We talked about the insight, as being patios are back. A patio is a destination for everybody all the time, including when you're at work. And Jack Astor's has the best patio, which I love that they did here. It's fun. It's irreverent. That to me, the insight drives that. The emotion to me is a little bit more elaborate. It's how you connect. It's how you make people feel. And to me, this is about being together. This is about coming back. This is about a return to normal. So there's an emotional pull to this as well. And then the action brilliantly is put forward here as doing something that you don't expect, which is building these pods and putting them in 37 locations across Canada.
37 locations.
37 locations. So to me,
Who's
this
in
is an exercise in brilliant relevance marketing, which is a piece of the puzzle, but it's worth highlighting here to me as
So
what makes it so different.
so a lot of restaurants won't have the budget to do this.
Yeah.
We got to talk more. I love this because a lot of people, I think, get possibly stuck on an idea or look at something like this and go, "We can't do that,"
Yeah.
and that's okay. And I truly believe, and I always believe that that good marketing necessarily. Sometimes you don't have to spend anything
Yeah.
on great marketing or great initiatives, and I think the fact that we all have social media at our fingertips. It is a little bit you have to know, but you have the ability to get a lot of your brands and your ideas out there in a very fast and easy manner using social. But I don't think you need to spend big money to have impact when it comes to marketing initiatives.
You absolutely don't. I worked for a great brand, led the marketing and brand department, and we had by far and away the lowest budget in the industry. And it after a while it became a bit of a badge of honor, but because it forces you and your entire team to think a little bit differently.
Yep.
So these rules and these lessons that we'll try to lay out here should be applied can be applied at any level, right? I mean, it should be a rule or something that a restaurant manager, maybe there's not a marketing person at that restaurant, just thinking about this, making a note of it, and really bringing to the table the efforts and the ideas and the insights from their entire team. And most importantly, their customers. You're not going to have another better source of kind of first party data and insights as when you're talking to customers, and you're no better suited to that when you're running a business and they're sitting there at your tables.
So Brandon, let's talk a little bit about. I want to get into the part like, where do you start?
Mm-hmm.
If I'm a restaurant and I'm like, I got to get more people on my patio. Obviously, we can maybe even shift this. Let's talk about how do we get for foot traffic. Are we looking at for the fall here and for the
Yeah.
winter? Where do I start? Do I call in my team? Do I have a team? Do I have my servers? Do I have like where am I going to start to spur that idea and
Well,
get
the
going?
brilliant part of this was that it was at least in part done if we can believe the article, which I certainly do, whether it was planned or whether it was a result, that to get the teams back involved, engaged, this was something fun that the teams could play around with too.
Yep.
It gave something to talk about. It made life a lot easier. So certainly when you're talking about your entire business and your brand and what you're doing to bring that to customers and bring more customers in, there's no way that that should just be something that you're putting up on a piece of paper and telling people. You need to include everybody. And I think it starts with literally, I'll give an example, another example in a second, but it's like whiteboard the word relevance. Okay. You can do great marketing just specifically thinking about relevance every single time on a weekly basis, on a daily basis, that gives you the validation to be able to do something creative and fun that keeps you relevant. Let everyone talk about this. Not difficult. It's not marketing speak. What's the insight? The insight could be something cool that somebody, a server that talked about with a customer or a guest that day or that week, that everybody nods their heads, and it's the beginning of an insight, a very, very kind of first person from the gut insight. Play with that. Now with emotion, how does that come to life? How can we turn this insight into something that makes people feel really good, that captures how they feel and infects the entire group, wrong word for the times, but infects the entire group with that same kind of feeling? And then action, what's a fun way that it can come to life? We don't need marketing expertise here. We just need people committed to being able to appreciate what an insight is or an idea, how that becomes an emotional connection, and what we're all doing to bring it to life and let customers be involved in it.
Okay, so I got to talk to you about this because this is great. You talk about the emotional connection. I want to talk about that more because I've always said, and this maybe not the right context of it, but those some of those shows that you see on TV in the past where the undercover boss, to me that's a marketing dream show because there's emotions that they're pulling from their employees to help people fall in love with their brand. Now, when you're talking about that, is that some of the things you're looking at emotions? What kind of emotions are you looking at? Like, you want sad emotions, funny emotions? Because I heard funny in marketing creates releases.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about more?
It's like that. Fun is a big one. In this one, togetherness is the one that jumped out at me. It's an emotion that everybody can feel. No one needs permission to feel it. It brings people together, obviously.
Okay.
It takes kind of tags off of everyone. We can all be on a patio and enjoy something like this together. Whether you're the server, whether you're the manager, whether you're the customer. So the togetherness is the emotional pull there. The action is just validating that and giving the freedom to bring it to life. I can do an example. Jay, I don't tell this story to a lot of people. You tell me if you want it before the commercial or after the commercial.
No, let's get into it. Let's go. Let's keep going.
I'm going to tell you the first marketing tactic, marketing gimmick, marketing, I don't even know what you want to call it, activity that I ever did in my life.
Okay.
And if you can believe it, it is informed by this right here. So all of the learning and work that I've done working with brands and franchisees and customers, could you believe that my learning happened on my first one that I just did off the cuff out of my gut?
Okay, go for it.
All right, do it quickly here. With fall coming up and hockey season coming up, I was working in a bar. I was going through school. I was an aspiring marketer and was thinking about bringing this through the restaurant kind of channel. Who knew what it would become at that in that day? I thought I'd be in a fancy agency in New York, and here I am in restaurants in Canada, which I love and fallen in love with, obviously. Hockey season comes. You can tell I'll date myself because the Leafs were in the playoffs. So we know it's long ago. And the Leafs are going deep in the playoffs. So we know it's long, long ago. So I'll let everyone kind of like think about that, about what time this was. But I'm literally just bartending / like kind of like unofficial marketing guy of this bar, right? Yep. So every day it's packed for Leaf games. Insight. Jay, you want to do this with me? People are passionate about the Leafs. The insight. People want to get involved and want to be there. There's lots of reasons for them to be there, but we're all together. Emotional connection and what brought this together is that everybody is pumped and wants to be a big part of this. They all want to experience the success of the Leafs together. Put that one on a run, because I don't know experience success of the Leafs together, how often we'll get to say that. But this is what was happening at the time.
Okay.
The action part of it. How can we even make this more of an unforgettable experience by putting something in people's hands and making it something that we can all share in? So what we did a lot of the times is we would go around unofficially at the bar when we'd have people watching hockey and watching overtimes, and we would ask them who would score the overtime goal. If they won, if they got the right answer, we'd get them a beer or something like that, and we would all do it and we'd have fun. So we brought this to life with a packed house, and we actually made up these cheap little, talk about no budget, these cheap little Leaf jerseys with a number on it. And the number corresponded to a player on the Leafs, and you could change the numbers. We handed those out to everybody in the bar. Overtime goal, or I can't remember if it was every goal that was scored. Whoever that player was scored a big Leaf goal, everyone's cheering, and then everyone looks and you hold up the jersey number that it's you. You get some free wings or whatever it was, and everyone thinks you're a superstar. And people just exploded. So at the time, it was just a weird kind of gimmick. But really, when you apply it to this idea of an insight driving an emotion, driving an action to ensure you're engaging customers and creating a memorable experience, how simple is that really?
How many restaurateurs, like, and I think this is for the restaurant folks out there, and I think this is a really good point, is how do you deter, like, when you sit there and you're going, okay, kind of emotion, what's some of the things they do? Should they sit there and just brainstorm, okay, the people are going to love this, they're going to laugh, they're going to have a great time, it's going to create a lot of energy, positive energy? Should they go through that, or is there a different process or anything on creating that niche of what kind of?
Well, I mean, it's the insight first, right? It's an insight or an idea first. Okay. And then from there, you'll naturally feel what the emotion is and how a customer might respond to that, and how much you need to lean into a specific emotion to make them feel that way. Baseline, you could just create, like, this on, like, happy faces. You want to make someone feel like they belong. And make someone feel like they're recognized. You want to make someone feel like they're having fun. You want to make someone feel like they're incredibly popular with the people around them. The emotional connection is not fabricated. It comes directly from an insight that could just be any idea about something that's happening with the customers, or that your customers are noticing at the time.
So is there some, when, like, the example that we had from Jack Asters is, do we have do you kind of sit back and, like, I don't know the word I'm looking here for, but what happens when, there's so many questions I have. I'm trying to I just love this stuff.
Pod number two coming up.
We're going to come up on the pod number 2.
Pod number 2 should have Jack Asters on here to just move me out of the way and say, here's what actually happened. They should probably be pod number 2.
We'll have to talk to them. But I think the thing is just really, when you look at this, and when restaurants understand is that, because a lot of them right now, I would say, to your point on looking at, like, maybe including hockey into some of your strategies if you are a pub and you have that ability. And I think a lot of them right now is trying to figure out what that niche is, their sense of their marketing angle, or what they're going to create the buzz out there. Because what I was reading the other day just on how much content is being thrown, like marketing content has been thrown at us through social now. How do you compete in that? Like, I don't know how, like, it's got to be tough to compete, to make noise and not get too goofy, because I think you can go overboard a little. Yeah. Maybe some of your credibility you have within your establishment.
Yeah, I think that most of that is done typically, just from my experience, Jay, at the exclusion of the things that are happening 4 feet in front of you. Like, think about your 4 walls first. Think about, the 50 customers that are in there at that time, and listen, empower your teams, not to go out and bug people, but to look and listen and get a feel for what they're talking about, what they're saying about the food, what they're saying about the restaurant, what they're saying about an experience they had, what they're saying about what's happening in the world. listen to this. Doesn't mean you need to get involved in every conversation, but this is where you're empowering your entire team to come up with an idea or an insight without saying, guys, let's sit down and get an idea here. You'll always have somebody that on your team that wants to be more involved in something like that, that's interested in being a bigger part of the team. And this goes into like Matt's territory when he spoke yesterday, and what he talks about in engaging your teams. It's the simplest way to ensure that they know they're important enough to be included in the stuff you're planning that could be incredibly important for your brand.
I agree. I fully agree. Involvement of everyone into it, because, you know, like a lot of the people that you're going to get those ideas from, maybe a server, it may be a chef, it may be someone that maybe necessarily isn't even working in the restaurant, but involve all and everyone into it. I think it's so important, right? So I've seen that so many times, is engaging all into the idea. So what I want to do, Brandon, I want to break through a quick commercial here, and we're going to come back to a little break. I want to come back and really talk more about, you know, this fall, because I got some ideas here in relationship to food inflation.
Awesome.
Food inflation and how maybe we can market. So it's the ADHD people. I got it.
The sexiest marketing insight topic you'll ever have. Food inflation. Let's do it.
Food inflation. How do we market with food inflation through the roof? And I think you can have some fun with it. And I think I've seen some stuff just recently on TikTok about it, and I laughed. It's kind of like there's some guy that just made fun of the iPhone 14. Not that I'm beating up on iPhone 14. I love Apple, but I saw his video he did. I'm like, that's probably helping sell more phones than maybe a phone ones that Apple created even, or maybe they hired this guy to create it. So I want to talk more about the food inflation right now. How do you market with that hitting all of us, not just our industry, but overall all of us? But I want to talk more about how do restaurants possibly use that to leverage to gain more people to come in, try their amazing food, and obviously get busier, more food traffic. I can't even say the word foot traffic. Holy cow. So anyways, we'll be right back. We're going to do a quick one, and then we'll be right back after this super duper quick message from Trident Seafood. Here we go. There we go. We're welcome back, everyone, to the SVK Network FistBump Marketing Show. I'm just gonna move around. Do you like that?
I thought you were sautéing fish on the side there. That's why I thought we couldn't see you.
I was like, do you like that? I got you on my big screen there in our new studio.
It's a little extreme close up for sure, but that's all right.
The big screen. It looked cool too. It looks cool. So we're talking about marketing. I want to get into this food inflation thing right now. And I want to ask you, Brandon, can you market somehow for this fall with food inflation, and maybe give us an idea or two?
Wow. Okay. Well, I think that let's stick to the theme. Let's stick to this idea of. I have some feelings about this myself, but let's stick to the theme here of insight driving emotion, driving action, rather than just an idea. So for me, the insight lies somewhere here. The insight is that everybody knows this is happening. It's affecting everybody. By this, I mean inflation.
Yeah.
right? I think too many businesses, restaurants and otherwise, don't involve and engage customers in the reality of this. And
Okay.
by that, I think it's not, you don't understand this. Things are expensive, so prices are going up. So, too bad for you. Come in or don't. Like, I think that there's a way to manage this. I think that there's a way for you to empower customers, particularly the ones that are closest to you, and give them a broader understanding of the business model, how it's affecting the business model, not by listing the expenses of what you have, but by just talking about how it's generally affected you as a whole. So customers can see this. You want to they give them an opportunity to learn about what a restaurant business model is. So it doesn't mean everyone servers go over to the table and talk about how expensive everything is. But you can say that, hey, listen, this is what we normally work with. This is how an operation works. These are our team members. These are how we make it. And inputs make things a little bit more difficult, just like you. And then the emotional connection to me is that we're kind of all in this together. We know it's affecting customers as well. They know it's affecting us. So now we're in this together, and it's not something we're just implementing on customers to take. Because then you're putting over and you're creating a one-sided conversation where customers that are cynical can say, yeah, but really, is it that much? Can we really believe it? But if you can bring them into it, not by opening up your books, but just giving them an idea of how it's generally affected your business model in a way that's interesting to them, and then saying, just like you at home, this is happening, right? Like this is the kind of thing that I think is important, this transparency. Your best customers are going to respect that. And then action, have some fun with it. Turn it around. Yes, your prices are going up, but that doesn't mean that we all can't give the finger or to inflation as a whole and say that, today, Wednesdays are no inflation Wednesdays or something like that, where you keep prices at a certain price. I don't and normally talk about discounting, but in this way where it's actually a really well thought through, transparent action from an emotional insight, I think that it has a play because we're in this together. And you know what? Screw it. We're going to tell inflation that it's not affecting us today. So to me, go ahead.
So I was going to say, Brandon, you treat inflation almost like let's say a person or a thing.
Shared enemy.
Yeah, shared enemy, right?
Yeah.
I love that, right? And I personally think you can have a lot of fun with it. Like, you can have fun with some pricing on your menu. You can have some, like you said, that inflation-free days. There we go. We just created something. There you go. Everyone's listening to this. Mic drop. We just created inflation-free days for your rest Fridays. Inflation-free Fridays.
Please send your questions of how you're going to pay for that directly to Jay, care of Cisco.
Yeah, exactly. Just send them this way. But wouldn't that be kind of cool? So, because I was a part of the campaign when it was the whole dine out thing through COVID. I was a part of that original campaign at the beginning with a lot of different companies. But I think the idea here is that, like you said, we're all in it together. So let's all rally behind the industry and let's make food inflation not happen on Fridays. Yeah. And let's give people the opportunity. Because I think financially you can do it, right? And you can figure that out. That's a different show that we have. That's tomorrow. We're working budgets tomorrow with Jim. Restaurant budgets. But I think what you could do is that you can really have fun with this. So if we create an industry movement, I already got one going, but here's another one. That it's inflation-free Fridays, where restaurants pull back just the inflation. Okay. So you still keep your prices there, but let's say, what is it at, like 11 or 8 or 9 or something? Let's say 10%. 10%. Okay, you're pulling back 10% on your product pricing right now to deal with inflation. We can figure out, like I said, tomorrow we'll figure out how to bank it or put it somewhere else, which I have done before too. But what I would do is you do a food. So if we create a movement in the industry, it will increase. And this is the beauty, I think, about marketing. Brandon, it's going to be a long show. So important you is, because I love this stuff, is that if you do that, it will create traffic. And our industry, and right now, I think no matter what, going into what we're dealing with the fall here, is that you're going to want to move your foot traffic. I think you're going to want to increase your foot traffic big time. So the more you create foot traffic and everything else comes from that. But I think think if the industry gave Fridays a food inflation pause, once again, we're creating noise to the industry. We're creating movement. We're creating a shift. We're giving a little bit of I guess, softening on the prices for the consumer. But I think there's some marketing power behind something like that.
Well, I mean, I talk about this a lot about the overall value of a customer. Okay.
Okay.
So it's amazing how little we feel that we can talk about the actual value or even the lifetime value of a customer because it's about who's coming through the door now. But what we really try to coach anybody, not just restaurant owners, restaurant management teams, but anybody that's trying to create a great brand on the backs of high volumes of super engaged customers. Those are going to be the customers that spend a lot and come in more often. Okay.
Well, but Brent, I got to jump in on that because you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I want to say something on that because I think this food inflation right now is getting people to reduce the amount of times they're going out.
Right.
Right. So if we can help, and like I said, that foot traffic, I think is critical.
Yeah.
Look at this, right? Because
yeah, no, certainly, and you know, when I think about this, for anybody that wants to think of this as a discount, you know, it's not that there should never be discounting. It's that you want discounting to be something that doesn't devalue your brand or your business overall. You want it to be a tool that's used to essentially motivate customers to do something in the long run. So if you do this on one day, if this is a Friday and it's an inflation-free Friday, that takes away whatever this is going to be, the discount or the actual reduction in prices. It takes away the onus on having to do things, uncontrollable things that really hurt your overall bottom line, like coupons and things like that, that you'd regularly be doing that are just random. Customers don't engage more with you when they're looking for coupons across the board at multiple locations. You have your discount, let's call it, your increase in value proposition is really what you're looking at on Fridays. It's just much more likely that full price, highly engaged, spend more, come in more often customer is going to be there more frequently when you do something like this, because it's based on what we talked about, a shared insight of inflation being a common enemy. We're in this together. They'll understand that a little more. And my guess is that they're going to come in more often, knowing that we are on the same page with them and we're in the same boat. We're all in the same boat.
I agree. I think it's, there you go, folks. We actually created a movement. I'm going to post on my LinkedIn later today and see how many people get behind it, Brandon. We've created but you just think about it. Because like you said, insights, you look at all the formula you have there is we're dealing with an issue. We're having some fun with it. We've got a day of the week. We can get the whole industry behind it. We can get people behind it. We're addressing it straight on. Like, we're not hiding from it.
Yeah.
And we're gonna have some fun with it. And from a restaurant operator component, from a financial side, probably can do it because your volume is going to be there to compensate the discount that you may offer based on the inflation. Because the food I think it's important just to look at your marketing on driving traffic, right? Not necessarily, well, that and brand awareness. And I think more, that's a different show with you. Let's talk more about brand awareness because I could talk all day about that. Being the brand guy at Cisco. But I do think it's important to create that brand that people love and they fall in with your love. I think restaurants today have an opportunity to look at brands, where their brand is within their community, within their city, and do stuff like, food inflation, inflation-free Fridays to create the buzz that's out there.
Cancel your flyers for a month and do this and see what happens. Yeah.
Right. You create buzz. I can see it on social. I can see us having, it's almost taken, do you remember the days? I remember back in the days when we used to launch feature menus.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to do specials because specials this and that, where then we gave them the spiel on why we moved over to feature menus. I won't say the franchise I was with at the time, but that was our theory. And it worked well, very well. And we moved from that. So maybe we move this into another phase. It's, really playing with the inflation part and dealing with the inflation-free Fridays and creating food traffic. So
Yeah, and I think it comes along really too, Jay, with, I think we can all do a better job, particularly the people like us that have been through it and done it for a long time, of educating people about the relationship between inflation and restaurants, because it's really hard for restaurant owners, particularly independents, to say, to just go, we're gonna discount because inflation is. It's really hard for them to explain the nuance to that in their day to day. So that's another big, to explain the relationship between the restaurant business model and anything really, but in this case, that common enemy, which is inflation.
So do you then look at, when you decide on these kind of strategies, when you're looking at your marketing plans for your restaurant, you kind of look at, okay, well, we can give a little here, but as the consumers feel that you're giving something back to them, in return, you'll get something back. Does that happen a lot within marketing?
Well, to me, it's about tracking like I said, this idea of the value of customers that are coming and what it's doing to affect the influx of these high value customers. So you just have to be understanding, be attached to, tracking what's actually happening when you're doing this,
Wow.
The idea is that, the things that, and I did this all the time, like constant battles with franchisees who were amazing, but still that were very much about, let's get some people in the door, we'll do the rest, and talking to them about, like, you have to see that we when we engage someone at a lower cost, that becomes a higher value because of the work we're doing with them to engage them, to make them almost advocates of the business. So our marketing becomes triggering relevance, triggering things like affinity, stuff like that. I want to show you what that customer looks like. And that's what our loyalty program did, is you were able to see what a high loyalty customer spent versus somebody that was just at the top of the funnel. And so really spending time on what happened here, what types of customers are getting. Is this engaging the people that are coming in a lot? Are they spending more? Is this bringing new people in? Are they sharing their experiences? You have to be able to at least track this, even if it's not in a really, really super scientific way. And again, bring in the whole team to do this. Talk about the customers that are coming in. Talk about what they're saying. Talk about if they're finding value in what you're doing. With coupons, it's just really, really transactional, right? You look at the coupons, you see how many people came in, but you have no idea what happened afterwards.
Yeah, and I think that just, there's a generation that understands what those are.
Mm-hmm.
As and I think those generations may not be your target generation that you're looking for within your industry either,
Mm-hmm.
right? I don't think the 18 to 30 is really looking at that.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're falling in love with brand,
Mm-hmm.
the impact of fun and creative marketing strategies. I think that's why you look at a booth on the patio like Jack Asters did. That's not a 40 plus, I would say, demographics that's going to engage with that or see it the way that a 18 to 30-year-old will. And I think understanding that as well, that's probably another show topic, is talking about the demographics within your strategies too.
I'll throw away my whole thing and you just tell me what to talk about. How's that?
I'm so sorry. Does that play a factor in that too, Brandon? Is the age demographics that you're going after when you do your marketing strategies?
Not as much as you think.
Really?
I mean, yeah, not as much as you think. I think that we get caught up a lot in demographics.
Okay.
I think in general, people in general, the types of customers that end up being the high value customers, they want to be able to see under the hood a little bit. They want to deal with brands that are transparent, that are talking about things that matter, that are taking a stand on things that maybe these customers are aspiring to take a stand on. I think we've attached these aspects to demographics a lot, but when you're talking about giving someone belonging and recognizing them, these kind of triggers that drive advocacy, I can tell you that, my mom, who's 82 years old, is going to frequent a place and think less about price when she feels recognized and belonging to something. And it's a huge thing to do. And I think that, this, even something like this that ends up being a really, really well executed marketing plan and a really, really cool creative outcome to it. There's an aspect to it where Jack Asters is saying, we understand you and we're in it with you. not having people on the patios really sucked for us. And guess what? You might not know this yet, but it really sucked for you too. So come on out and you'll remember what it was all about, with being able to lean on kind of that fun, atmosphere and personality and experience that I think, they've always perpetuated. So there's a little bit of that in it too. This is not just about execution. This idea of really triggering that emotion that's attached to a core insight. People recognize this. Customers want to say, okay, you get me. And that's important. And that has a direct line to their overall long-term value, for sure, to you as a brand.
Wow. So, first of all, thank you for all the insights and information.
Thank Jack Asters. It's brought it. Who knows what we would have talked about if it was just me.
Well, first of all, thank you, because I've worked with thousands of restaurants over the years, and this is an area that a lot of people need help, or just suggestions, ideas, or just that one thing they take away from today's show, just to help them move forward and to give them that ideas. None of this is like, you can take chunks and take it. All of it is going to be valuable for a lot of restaurateurs that are out there. So thank you so much.
I hope so.
Sites, everything on there. Great idea from Jack Asters. Another call out to you guys on that idea. Just brilliant. I love it. I love the playfulness into it. I think I always believe marketing, the good marketing ideas spur other good marketing ideas, I believe, as well.
Yeah.
And what a great subject to share with everyone. So last words, Brandon, before we wrap up.
Hey, include everybody, get the whiteboard out. It's an insight. It's an idea that you might not even see coming. And, you'll be working with, opening this up to your customers, your guests, your team. They'll feel important. They'll feel recognized. They'll feel a part of something. So give them the space, those ideas, the space to breathe. And then, the action part of it is the fun part. That's the part that, you can really play around with. You can spend $1 zillion or you can spend $0. But you can have a lot of fun with the execution. And in this case, this whole thing was kicked off by a really, really fun execution that I'm glad we took the time to recognize.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, Brandon. For everyone else that's listening and watching today's show, see, I have a script now. I should just. So, I just want to thank, Brandon, again, for all the great ideas and everything. Also, just an overall great conversation around this subject, which I'm very passionate about. But if you enjoyed today's show and you want to learn more about restaurant budgets, what a big topic. That's a big topic, is tomorrow, restaurant budgeting.
Really smart to have the budget guy after the marketing guy.
Exactly. Hey,
really smart. Jim right now is just scribbling stuff and rubbing stuff out and cursing my name even more than usual.
So Jim's on tomorrow with the Restaurant Business Show talking about restaurant budgets. And then next week we are live out of Ottawa, our nation's capital. We're going to be at the Cisco, Ontario Food Show, and we have an amazing guest of folks who are going to be joining us live at the show in our pop-up studio. And we're going to be bringing you tons of content next week as well. And then after that, we're in Terroir over in Calgary. Can't talk today, marbles in my mouth. We're going to be there for the week as well, bringing you an amazing show live on YouTube. So if you can't make it to Terroir, don't worry. You can just go over to Cisco Canada's YouTube page, watch us there. You can watch all the speakers that are going to be at the Terroir on our YouTube channel, which is going to be amazing as well. And lastly, subscribe to our YouTube channel, subscribe to our LinkedIn, my LinkedIn channel or Cisco's, or also our Facebook page, because you get notified when our shows are on, which are daily at 3 p.m. every day as well, Monday to Friday. And then if you want more cool insights and resources, check out cisco.ca. This website, there's tons on there that really help you through your industry or different ideas, or spark a conversation, or really learn a lot. There's tons of good stuff over there, so check it out as well. Like I said, tomorrow we're back at 3 p.m. Eastern Time on the SDK Network with Jim, Restaurant Budgeting on Restaurant Business Show, which is a doozy. And lastly, if you just want to listen to us, any podcast channel that's out there, we're on. And if you go to Spotify, you can actually watch a show on Spotify whenever you want. And we're going to have a rewatch later on today at 7 p.m. and on Saturday morning on my channel on LinkedIn. So
awesome.
That's a mouthful, eh, Brendan?
You did well, buddy, as usual.
Did well? Awesome. Mm-hmm. So everyone else, have a great rest of your day. Get out there, support our industry. And Brandon, I cannot thank you enough
Bring it up for me, Jake. Give me one, buddy. There we go.
Here we go. Bring it. Great ideas. So thanks so much, everyone else. Take care. Cheers.